catalysts in the targeted individual dilemma. We're going to deal with some of the mechanisms, some of the catalysts that keep that oppressive situation alive for targeted individuals. Sorry I haven't made any videos for a while, guys. I'm getting over COVID. Make sure to wear your mask and gloves. They do make a difference. I was feeling a little too fancy and free in a really busy restaurant. I'm pretty sure I know where I caught it. And, people just, they're not thinking. They're hacking. They're not coughing into their shirts. They should be wearing masks if they've got that stuff going on. And, it's catchy. And, little kids don't understand. They're just not thinking. They're running around all hyper and, coughing and everything. You get into a place where there's a lot of people like that and your chances go way up. I'm definitely wearing my mask everywhere from now on. The second time I've got COVID, post-nasal drip, chest congestion that got really bad to the point where I thought I was going to have to go to the hospital. I had to get a pulse oximeter to monitor my oxygen in the blood. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Fever, headache, you lose your sense of smell and taste and everything, and you're just tired. It's miserable. But the first time I caught it, the headache was way, way, way worse. The fever was probably 3 times worse, but I could still breathe. I had a lot of congestion. It lasted for a long time, but I still didn't feel like I couldn't breathe. This time, I literally didn't know if I was going to, be able to stay out of the hospital. It's just like you can't breathe. You're not getting any oxygen. It's scary. They're working on something in the Wuhan lab again that's even scarier than what we're dealing with now. And that's where this stuff was made, gain of function research and everything. You guys know the story. But now they've got Neo-COVID, which can't jump to humans yet, supposedly. I'm sure they're trying to figure out a way to make it happen. 33 to 35% fatality rate. Tell me that's not scary. Oh gosh, okay, we're going to get on the subject of targeted individuals. Those mechanisms, those catalysts, those dilemmas that targeted individuals have to deal with, and when they try to solve them or just cope with them, it sets off that chain reaction and can make things worse. If you're a targeted individual who's dealing with break-ins, if you're dealing with neighborhood harassment, for example, well, what are you going to do? You're going to try and, try to keep things from escalating. You might put in a security system or lights or something on your property. But of course, if you've got neighborhood harassment, you got people talking about you. And if people are talking about you, they're trying to start rumors, right? They're trying to put you in a bad light. And now, you got cameras all over the place. You're dealing with other things. Probably insomnia. Your financial situation might be, kind of strained. You might be dealing with workplace harassment. You might be wearing old clothing, or you might look crabby or be disheveled or worn out. And of course, that's just going to make this stuff look more believable, right? They're selling drugs. They're troublemakers. They're crazy. They're paranoid. And you got to deal with it. And it creates that social medium for people to, take their crap out on you. And it's a catalyst. It's like a chain reaction that you're dealing with. It just never ends. I've talked before in videos about propositions or propositional tyranny or presuppositions. And everybody has them. Life is a journey of trying to, figure out what's going on and how to deal with it, what everybody else's problem is and so forth. But There are a lot of things out there that are simply not true. I've talked about the fact that there is a huge percentage of the population that don't know about gang stalking. They're not aware of it, right? They're not aware of a lot of things. Targeted individuals are awakened to that reality, and they are dealing with it, and they're dealing with it in a way where it's going to affect their life, right? Other people aren't experiencing break-ins, street theater, gaslighting, workplace harassment, so on and so forth. And when they see a targeted individual who's disheveled, who's dysfunctional, who's homeless, who might be wearing older clothing, who's crabby, whatever, you fill in the blank, they're going to have a way of processing that information to form a proposition about them. They're going to have a presupposition. And that's part of the dilemma, and people are, they're arrogant anyway, just, by nature. They're going to see somebody else and they're going to assume, that they're just not trying. The targeted individual is just lazy, or they've given up, or they have some type of character defect. Or an addiction problem. Maybe their mama dropped them on their head. In other words, they're going to come up with something that has nothing to do with the reality that the individual is dealing with, right? They're going to see it through a lens, a presupposition, and it's going to cause that, the corruption of that proposition that they're going to form. And it's going to put a stigma on the targeted individual. And I know you guys know what I'm talking about, because people deal with that. That's one of the catalysts. That's one of the mechanisms that keep this whole thing going. It's a chain reaction. The targeted individual gets break-ins. They become paranoid. They get disheveled. People look at them and assume things. Their work performance goes down. The workplace harassment escalates. The whole thing just feeds on itself, and, before you know it, there's problems. You're in a ship that's going down, and you got to start bailing water a lot faster than before. And you're in that place where you have to manage all these dilemmas. Looking at, what the catalysts are is important. Okay. I've talked about not worrying about what people think about you. And that is important. You have to process information correctly. Okay. But at the same time, you can't just let everything go. Embarrassingly, I've gotten to that point, right? I just, got to the point where I didn't care a little too much, excuse me. And that had a negative effect, and it just made some of the rumors a little more believable. Controlling what's going on, trying to realize that there are things that you have to maintain as a targeted individual. You want to try to be employed if possible. It's a balancing act too, because we'll just say you're experiencing workplace harassment. You have to know at what point, you might need to leave. I've talked about that before, where, if you're dealing with management and other things, well, there comes a point where you might have to switch jobs, but at the same time, you don't want to run every time you get poked. You don't want to react every time, something happens. That way you're just going to feed the monster. So there's kind of a juggling act going on. You want to try to have protocols for the situations that are going to come up, and they're going to come up. The workplace harassment is a classic one. You don't want to just quit and be unemployed. You want to have a job ready, have that protocol ready. There are things that you need to do in your life every day. That's what you need to focus on. Instead of turning this into a battle of, what am I going to do if they do this? What am I going to do if they do that? Have things that you're going to do every day, regardless of what they do. That's really the only way you're going to survive this. Okay, you want to be employed if possible. You don't want to be out, getting drunk or whatever. If you've got a disinformation campaign against you, if you're experiencing neighborhood harassment or whatever, you know what? That's not going to work. There's things you need to do every day concerning your diet. Okay, there are things that you need to do. As far as your physical health, you need to work out. You need to have a regimen. Your mental health is important too. There's things that you need to look into, and some of those things, they probably shouldn't involve gang stalking. You need to take a break from that. You need to disconnect, from all these things and focus on something else for a little bit of time every day. There's all kinds of things that you need to focus on every day that you need to do. Like I said, your diet, your workout, what you're looking into, what you're being mindful of, your employment and stuff like that. And that way you're not going to get tied up, okay? Because you are being bound up. And the problem is that targeted individuals are being tied up in the dark because nobody knows what's happening to them. It's very frustrating. That's another thing. You need to remember that eventually these things are going to be in the light. They're going to be put on the table for everybody to see. And in the meantime, let them rack up the shame and the judgment that is going to come, and that is inevitable. Okay? Because right now they're laughing and they're sitting back going, oh, yeah, everybody, oh, no, they're just crazy. Look at them. Well, look at them go, And, it's not going to end that way, though. It looks like it now. If you're experiencing that type of chain reaction where people have, formed, ideas about you that you're, crazy, paranoid, or dysfunctional, or, selling drugs or whatever, that's eventually gonna, that's gonna be gone. Everybody is gonna eventually know what's going on, and the focus is then going to turn on the people that are doing this to you. Don't buy into the lie that these people are just going to get away with this stuff. Okay, targeted individuals are provoked in that way. They are. This is your last chance, nobody's ever going to know. They're always going to believe these lies about you or whatever. You're a coward. You better do something. You better, try to take care of this stuff. Well, that's not always possible. And for targeted individuals, you don't want to make things worse. Okay? That can happen. Things can definitely get worse. So you want to follow protocols. You want to remember these people aren't going to get away with this stuff. It's inevitably going to come to light. And you just want to try and manage yourself that way. Have things that you do every day regardless of what they do to you. And that's the way you're going to keep afloat. Guys, be good to yourself. Be safe.